Did you call bank? I call game.
What's good, podcast world, and welcome back to another episode of Charge It to the Game Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Rome. Got Z in the house. What's good, Z?
Not much. Another day, another show.
I feel you, man. All right. So, fellas, well, actually not fellas. Jay's actually not going to be joining us today. So, it's going to be the B and Z show. Today, we really got a really good show today for you guys. It's going to be a football show. So, NBA guys, I'm sorry once again that we're not going to be talking NBA action. But still a great and solid show. So, a lot of NFL action. And if you can tell, when you start listening to the show, we really love NFL football. We love chatting NFL. And we're just waiting for the season to start back up. But yeah, so we'll dive right into it. So today's show is going to consist of, we're going to be talking divisional action again. Only 2 divisions left we have to cover. So we're going to be talking AFC South. And then next show we'll probably be talking NFC South to close out our divisional talk. But for today's show, AFC South, Texans, Jags, Colts, teams in that division. And then we got something a little new for you guys. So Z had brought to my attention that they released a document, and it's pretty much calculating next season's wins total from the Williams Hill Sportsbook. The Pro Football regular season wins total. We're going to spend a great deal of time on that so we can try to look at teams and their over-unders so we can win some money. And then we'll always close the show out with bets. But continue to keep subscribing to the channel on YouTube. We see the YouTube page is continuing to grow. And then always, as always, continue to subscribe on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so have you. So without further ado, Z, let's go ahead and hop into it, man. So let's talk a little bit about Jacksonville, man. So Jacksonville, man, they had a horrible season. I mean, what can I say, right? So they went, 1-15, 1-15 season, got the number 1 pick overall in the draft. We pretty much already know it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. There's too much documentation showing that Urban Meyer and the whole ties to, Trevor Lawrence and the program. It's just a done deal, right? So, but, like I said, the 1-15 season, number 1 pick overall in the draft. They did make a few moves. One of the more notable ones that I saw, Z, was Marvin Jones from the Lions. I saw that. I saw, Malcolm Brown, interior defensive lineman. He's going from the Saints to the Jags. Then I also see Damian Wilson. He's going from the Chiefs to the Jags. Carlos Hyde, veteran running back from Seattle, is going to the Jags. And then there's a few small moves, but I guess, how are you feeling about Jacksonville, Z?
So Jacksonville is a total rebuild, new coaching staff. Urban Meyer coming from the college ranks. He took that job because he knew he was getting Trevor Lawrence. So their whole season, their whole projection moving forward is going to be based on surrounding Trevor Lawrence, supporting Trevor Lawrence, building the program around Trevor Lawrence. So that's going to be the key to them. They have a lot of holes. They do have some.
They got some offensive talent.
Yeah, existing weapons. I mean, DJ Shark is a solid receiver that they have.
They got, was it Laviska Shenault? He was a number 1. Number 1, but he was drafted as a receiver. They have him. And then, I mean, a guy that really literally came out of nowhere was James Robinson, the running back. Like, this guy, I mean, he just really came out of nowhere. He had a solid season, played in 14 games, over 1,000-yard rusher, even though, I guess in today's NFL, I mean, they say 1,000-yard rushing. I mean, it's a decent gauge point, but it's more of a old stat to me, just because NFL's, and now they're adding another game to the season, right? So 1,000-yard rushers should be up from, it should be looked kind of frowned upon, maybe like a 1,200-yard rusher. But anyway, I mean, James Robinson had over 1,000 yards, solid running back. And then at the quarterback position last year, man, I guess they tried the Gardner Minshew experiment. Yeah. It just wasn't quite working, right?
Minshew mania fizzled out.
Yeah, man. Him and his mustache and all of this, taking pictures. And, I mean, the guy, he was a great college player. He's more of a backup in the NFL, as we can see. Then they had Mike Glennon come in and start a few games. But these guys, I mean, I just know Jacksonville because I was betting against them pretty much all season. And I was winning money. I mean,
they have needs on the offensive line. I mean, they do have.
They sure do.
Cam Robinson, who's a good left tackle, so they have the most important position from looking at from a Trevor Lawrence perspective. Okay, so there they go. They got their left tackle. They added some weapons, like you were saying, with Marvin Jones, solid. Laviska Shenault, solid. DJ Shark, solid. So they got 3 solid receivers. They got a left tackle. Now, issues are going to be they did sign Andrew Norwell, who was a guard from Carolina, who's serviceable. And
he's pretty good.
Yeah, so they need offensive line. They did sign Tyler Eifert, tight end from Cincinnati, who has had concussion issues. When he's healthy, he's solid, and he's a great pass-catching tight end. Issue is one hit, and he could have problems. So I don't know if you can count that as a reliable pass catcher for Trevor Lawrence, but
yeah,
it's up in the air. Defensively, they did have Josh Allen as an edge rusher who they did draft.
How's he doing? He's doing pretty decent. Not doing great, right?
So he's a piece. So he's raw, an athletic specimen. I mean, size, speed, weight. He has everything you look for in an edge rusher. But again, unproven. And he's going. They drafted him, at 19? Last year, for them, you could say last year's season was a wash because they had no preseason. They had no training camp due to COVID. Right, so a lot of their young players didn't get to develop the way they would like. They still have Miles Jack, who's a solid middle linebacker. But other than that, I mean, they have a first-round corner from last year in C.J. Henderson from Florida.
Yeah, he was hurt a lot of the season last year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's solid. They did sign Shaquille Griffin on the other side from Seattle, so he'll be a nice piece. But yeah, it's up in the air for Jacksonville. They got a lot of holes to fill. This is a critical draft from their perspective.
Yeah, I think, like you said, to piggyback off it, I think it's a critical draft for Jacksonville. They have a lot of holes. Along that offensive line, I think they really need to build that up for the kid. I think him transitioning from college to the NFL, the speed of the game, the way these defensive coordinators like to take away your first read, and all of those different things. And I think having a solid foundation, either giving him a solid offensive line or a number 1 receiving threat will really help the kid out. They seem to have a serviceable running back with Robinson. So hopefully he can carry over some of that production from last season to this season because he had a really solid season. He was one of the few bright spots in Jacksonville's game. I mean, Mike Glennon just really went out there and stunk it up. He's really historically been a backup. I remember him because of his days in Tampa. But I always knew that he wasn't always going to be a long-term solution, but more of a backup always and forever. So, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, we'll see how that goes. The receivers, I mean, they're pretty solid. Like you said, you're bringing in Marvin Jones. He's really a really solid receiver to add along with DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault. I love Laviska Shenault. I think he's going to be a great talent in the NFL. He scored 5 touchdowns last season. in his rookie year. And all these rookies from last season, they really had it tough, man. I mean, a condensed off season, workout programs, not getting a chance to run through the full playbook, and offensive coordinators really have to be able to dumb things down. With obviously the pandemic, but I think with this off season, it'll be a lot. It'll be more beneficial than last season. So hopefully these young guys can develop and move forward in that division. And help the team out.
So per William Hill in Vegas, they set their win total at 6.
How you feeling about that?
I would take under. That might be a better bet. One of the better bets too is take the under. Rookie quarterback with lack of depth in the backfield, and then lack of protection on the offensive line. A tight end with concussion problems.
Mm-hmm.
I am taking under 6 for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think I'm taking under 6 as well. And with the under is what, plus 100. So I mean, you're winning plus money. I guess Vegas somehow thinks that Jacksonville's really gonna be a serious threat to win over 6 games. I just don't believe it. I'm definitely taking the under in this one.
No. The under is favored, so they think it's going to be under the 6 games.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, there you go. Well, regardless, I'm taking the under. I mean, I just don't see Jacksonville winning over 6 games, in my opinion. Well, the division is not juggernauts, right? So, I mean, you got last year it was more of a solid division, in my opinion, with the Colts having Phillip Rivers at quarterback. Now it's like the Colts are the Colts a serious player to really play on in that division? I mean, we'll see. You got Tennessee, who's there, and I think they're pretty much going to be the favorites. So I mean, Jacksonville. I mean, we'll see how they shake out. In this upcoming upcoming season.
So speaking of the Colts, what are your thoughts on the Colts' outlook for next year?
The Colts,
some of the moves. Man, they were a really strong defensive team.
They were. Hey, check this out, man. Like you said, I like what you said. They were a solid and really strong defensive team, but that defense did not show up in the playoffs, man. One of my homeboys is a real dedicated Colts fan, and that defense failed them later on down the stretch in that playoff game when they played the Bills.
Josh Allen.
Oh my gosh,
no joke.
Yeah, man, I remember that game because I was watching it vividly. It was a series of things for the Colts. It was coaching. Frank Wright, I think on the first initial drive, I think they scored a touchdown and then they didn't kick the field goal. I mean, they went for 2, and then
the game at Pittsburgh, second to last game of the season, where they had a 24-point lead and blew it in the fourth quarter.
Man, weird team, man.
So that was the beginning of their, because they would have. That almost cost them the playoffs.
Yeah, they had to rely on other teams to lose, right? If I can remember.
Yeah. So
and they ultimately did, yeah.
Because they blew a 24-point lead in the fourth quarter, which was crazy.
Ridiculous.
At a time when the Steelers were struggling with folks out with COVID.
Yeah. I remember because it was like you said, 24-0, and then Big Ben just started bombing away with bombs to Claypool and Deontay Johnson and all these other receivers that they had. But for the Colts, man, I mean, like I said, that playoff, that was a very winnable game. To me, that was a coaching loss. I mean, going for the 2 and then, they giving up right before halftime in that playoff game with Buffalo, allowing Josh Allen with under 2 minutes left to go, pretty much almost the length of the field, converting a 3rd and 15, and ultimately not getting 3, but getting 6. And then, even at the end of the game, these guys had a chance to get a first down to kick a field goal. And I think either the field goal would have either won them the game or it could have tied the game. But I think,
tied it,
yeah, Zach Pascal dropping a critical 3rd down or 4th down. And, yeah, they had chances, man. But I think with the Colts, man, so I guess some of their new additions and I guess losses.
Carson Wentz, that's the story.
Talk to me about Carson Wentz, man. Talk to me about Carson Wentz, dude.
Optimistic view, he's getting back with Frank Reich, who was the coach who he had the most success with in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
they do have probably the best offensive line in all of football.
I would say that.
In
Them in Cleveland.
Yeah,
Don't forget about Cleveland. Yeah.
So he's going from one of the worst offensive lines in Philly to one of the best ones. So they got weapons. T.Y. Hilton signed back on a team-friendly deal. They got Michael Pittman from Ohio State, second-round pick. Paris Campbell from Ohio State as the receivers. And, tight ends. Jack Doyle, pass-catching tight end, strong.
Yeah, Mo Alley Cox, right?
Yeah, Mo Alley Cox is there as well. Another strong tight end. And Jonathan Taylor in the backfield from Wisconsin.
Ooh, man, that is a monster if you've ever saw one. Jonathan Taylor, he really came on. He won them some games last season, late in the season.
And then they signed Marlon Mack back, who was injured last year.
Yeah,
so,
they have a weird running backfield, man. I mean, they got Jonathan Taylor, the young guy who they drafted in the first round from Wisconsin, and then you got Marlon Mack, and then what's the other kid? The other running back.
Nyheim Hines.
Nyheim Hines.
Speedster.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, they have three.
He's more of a
really,
third down back, catching passes out the backfield, and change of pace.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they really feed Taylor the ball. I think Taylor's one of the best running backs in the league. I don't think he's on Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook's level, but I think he's that second tier. I'd throw him in there. So he's a solid running back. I just don't think this Carson Wentz experiment is really going to work out for him, man. I mean, in my opinion, I think Carson Wentz is just horrible. I think he's trash. I think he's broken. I think he's broken beyond belief. Oh, well, I mean,
if he can't succeed in this environment, he can't succeed anywhere. I mean, he just got the roster bonus of, it was like a ridiculously high amount. I think 12 or 13 million for being on the roster on April 1st.
For being bummy. 12 million for being straight bum. It's crazy.
It might have been more because it was extremely high because Philly got rid of him basically a week before they had to pay that roster bonus. That's what they made the trade.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, Frank Wright, like you said, I mean, it's like maybe he's thinking, he's worked with Carson. I've said this on maybe some previous shows. I mean, it's kind of like the lesser of the two evils, right? Like you go with the guy you know rather than the guy you don't know. Maybe he thinks that Carson Wentz, maybe there's something he doesn't know. Maybe he thinks he's healthy. Maybe Carson Wentz was not healthy. And he thinks he can, he's healthy now. He can come in and fix. But that Colts defense was solid. I'll give them that. They were one of the best defensive teams in the league. With that offensive line defensive line with DeForest Buckner, and was it Stewart at the defensive tackle positions. They did bring back Xavier Rhodes at corner, and Kenny Moore, who's another really solid corner. And then you got Darius Leonard.
His roster bonus was $10 million.
Man, I mean, that's just still a lot for somebody who's a bona fide scrub. Wow. I mean, it's
just to be on the roster.
Yeah, But I mean, he's not there no more. But I mean, they moved on from the guy. I mean, they just wanted to get the guy out of there. He was sitting there pouting on the sidelines and all of that.
Indianapolis paid him a week after they got him. Said, "Welcome to Indianapolis. Here's a check for $10 million."
I mean, that was part of his deal, but
that was his contract.
Yeah, so I guess they split the money for the guy. But I mean, the Colts.
So that was the problem with trying to trade him because whoever received him had to pay that bonus. And so only one coach was willing to do that, and that's Frank Reich.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, nobody else really wanted the guy. But I mean, the Colts. I mean, what is their win-loss total?
Oh my gosh,
let me see. It's at 10.
Yes.
So yeah, it's to 10 games. How are you feeling about the Colts with the 10 games? I mean, and that they do have a weak, a soft division. I mean, the only team they really is Tennessee.
All depends on Wentz. If Wentz is the Wentz of his MVP season, well, almost MVP season until he got hurt, then they have a chance. They'll definitely go over because they have the defense, they have receivers, they have special teams, even kicker, punter, solid.
Yeah, very well-rounded team, man. Yeah,
and a good coach. The issue is going to be Wentz. If Wentz cannot mess it up, they'll go over the win total. if he struggles with turnovers, I think he was pretty much jittery in Philly. I mean, if you hit him a couple times, he was hesitant to take a hit. And because the offensive line was just terrible in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And so...
were they that bad, though? I mean, there were definitely some games where I was watching them where he would drop back and he would just run out of the pocket for no reason.
Yeah, and hold the ball.
And scramble around and look stupid. I mean, it's just weird. I mean...
But the contract is the big thing in Philadelphia. Because they gave him the contract after they let Nick Foles go and having a statue of Nick Foles in front of the stadium.
The backup quarterback. You know? Yeah, and you're supposed to be the face of the franchise. They put the statue of a backup, you know, in front of their own stadium. So
and then they drafted Hurts with the second-round pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the Colts with the 10, I just don't know, man. I mean, that's a tough number. I guess if I had to choose, I don't feel strongly about the Colts with the 10. I'd probably say they go under, just because the fact that, you know, I got to see what the schedule's really looking like. You know, who they play at what times and all of those different things. I just don't see them winning 10 games. I mean, the division is soft, other than Tennessee, but they, you know, divisional opponent, they can split with them 1-1. I just don't see them winning 10 games, but I also have to see who their upcoming opponents are for this upcoming season. So, I mean, with the Colts, that's just my take on them, man. Let's chat a little bit about, I guess, the Texans, man. So, Z, man, you know, I don't try to get messy in the whole Deshaun Watson business, but, I mean, he's probably not going to play this year, right?
No, and when he comes back, he's still a member of the Houston Texans.
Yeah. And team he said he's not playing for them ever again.
He may not play for anybody.
Exactly. You know.
So so that's a huge issue.
Yeah, man.
I think Nick Caserio, the GM, had a press conference, and his only response was, "We are respectful of the legal process and have no comment at this time."
Right. Yeah, and I'm for Deshaun, man. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on with him. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, going to massage parlors and asking for happy endings and all of this stuff. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to, speculate on it because I want, the process to be seen through. But, he's a great talent, man. I mean, he's a good, solid quarterback.
His reputation took a huge hit. Like they say, it can take 20 years to build your reputation, and it can take 5 minutes to destroy it.
Exactly. And that's what he's dealing with, man. So, I mean, to me, and just my short and skinny on, and then we'll talk a little bit more factual information. My biggest thing is, why did all of this stuff come out when he asked to be traded and everything was getting muddy and messy?
That's the issue.
Why did all these things come out then? And then secondly, why are some of these women, I think, I'm not really watching the case, but there's some stuff going on where I guess, some of these women don't want to come forward, and there's a lot of, this didn't happen, and some of them are walking away. I don't know what's going on, but let's just get back to the facts, man. It's just, we're not gossip. We talk sports here. But, but I mean...
So we are going to assume Texans without Watson, at least, I mean, he will be looking at, I think, a suspension.
Yeah.
But he's not going to show up back to Houston anyway.
Exactly.
And so this is just going to delay it. Might even push it into next season.
It could. Similar to like the AB thing, but it's a different situation. But
yes, similar.
Yeah.
So that's their issue. Having said that, JJ Watt's gone as well. pillar of their team for years and years and years. So that's
yeah. Nick Martin's going at center. He was starting center, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he is. So he's gone too. They did sign Tyrod Taylor as a possible quarterback. They have a new coach signing the Ravens wide receiver coach.
Yep.
Which again I think is a puzzling choice, since of any team to get a wide receiver coach, they got the one from the Ravens.
I don't know, man. All of these guys, it's all about connections, man. You know.
So I don't know. I mean, their win total is listed at 5. I would say under.
Yeah, especially with all the stuff going on there. I mean, it's 5. Like my biggest thing is who's the quarterback. If it's Tyrod Taylor, I'm going under 5. I mean, I just don't know. Are you going to start Tyrod Taylor? I mean, what pick do they have? Do you know? I mean, it's got to be pretty high, right?
No, their pick went to Miami, the number 4 pick in the draft.
That's right. Oh my God! So they're kind of assed. They're really assed out. I mean, at the quarterback position, so they don't have a first round pick. So I mean, you're not going to get one of the top tier guys, or even somebody if they fall. There might be somebody there in the second round, but are you going to feel comfortable starting at quarterback week 1 and in the regular season? They did bring in Mark Ingram from the Ravens, a solid running back. They also brought in an edge rusher and Shaq Lawson from the Dolphins, a solid guy. The biggest thing for the Texans is this is just a rebuild year. They're not going to really be making much noise. I mean, they might not even win 3 games, to be honest. They're just going to really be trotting a team out on the field for, the fans to see. I mean, they also lost Will Fuller. I mean, this team, you lost Will Fuller and you brought in Chris Conley from Jacksonville. It's a huge drop-off at receiver. Go ahead.
No, I mean, they're going to be challenged. They're going to have problems.
Yeah.
So I would take the under 5.
Definitely the under 5 with the Houston Texans, man. I mean, I just don't see them winning over 5. I don't see how. I don't even see them winning a game in their division. I see Jacksonville beating them twice. I definitely see the Colts, and I definitely see King Henry and the Titans just stomping on them.
Yeah, running right through them. I mean,
yeah. So it's just a mess.
So I don't know. So Houston, there'll be some issues. I just don't see them competing in any way. And then the biggest question is going to be what the Deshaun Watson situation is going to end up being.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Deshaun Watson won. I just don't know what happens.
And what kind of haul can they get if they trade him now that the team that's going to get him is going to be worried about suspension? Yeah,
I mean, it's his stock is definitely going to drop. I mean,
because then you also have to take his contract.
Yeah, he has a large contract. They just paid him, right?
They paid him last October.
Yeah, they just paid the guy. So I mean, you got to pay him a lot of money. But I mean, he is his biggest thing. He is young. He's an elite talent. He's one of the top 10, best quarterbacks in the league. Well, I'll condense it down. Probably top 7 QBs in the league, or 8. And I mean, he might be worth it. For maybe a team like I don't know, maybe the Colts or something like that. If the Carson Wentz thing doesn't work out, even Bill Belichick.
They're committed to Carson Wentz. So rumor was for the longest time either Denver or Miami, but whatever happens in the draft is gonna pretty much decide. I mean, Carolina settled on they got their quarterback from the Jets, and so they're out of the market with Sam Darnold. And so
I can't believe you said that they're out of the market with Sam Darnold.
They're trying to they're trying to throw feelers out, like they're trying to add a quarterback, trying to get a gullible team to jump up and make a trade with them.
Right.
Because they said even though we have 2 quarterbacks on their rookie contracts, we may take a third one, which is almost impossible.
Right. Yeah.
Because they'd still have to trade Bridgewater.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy, he's gonna be traded somewhere. I mean, he might start for somebody. He might be a backup, or he might stay where he is. I mean, he's just not ready yet. But anyway, let's just talk about a little bit about Tennessee, man. So Tennessee Titans, if I can remember correctly, they won the division last year, made the playoffs, and who did they lose to? Z? They lost to. Who did they lose to? They lost
Baltimore.
to Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore.
At home.
Yeah, at home. That was a kind of like a.
Lamar Jackson went crazy running the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Running the ball. I mean, he just took off. I mean, his first read wasn't open. It was just like, boom. He's
but,
gone.
I mean, the drama and the history, though, because remember when they played in the regular season.
Oh, I remember. When they stomping on the logo or something?
Yeah, the whole Tennessee team was stomping on the Ravens logo.
I remember that, yeah.
Pre-game. And when it got to playoff time, the Ravens stomped on their logo after they knocked them out of the playoff.
Just goes to show you, man. I mean, I like stuff like that. I like when, it gets a little chippy and the hitting is a little harder and all of those different things. I like stuff like that. But yeah, they ultimately, like you said, lost in, the wild card to Baltimore. It was a tough game. They just really couldn't do what they were supposed to do, and they shut, King Henry down, and Tannehill really couldn't just, do what he was doing. At one point this season, Tannehill was an MVP candidate. A lot of people forget that. Ryan Tannehill was an MVP candidate. He did have a really good season. I mean, they did lose a few people now, but he did gain some people.
So their big move is giving the $82 million to Bud Dupree.
Yeah.
Edge rusher, so he'll replace Clowney, who provided them, I think, with 0 sacks on the season last year.
Gosh, I just don't know what's wrong with him. I mean, he's, I guess he's built in a lab, but he just doesn't play. Some of these guys, they just have great, they just have great weight room numbers and, great, speed numbers. They just can't convert that to being elite talents in NFL. We know Jadeveon Clowney's a solid NFL player, but he was really supposed to be elite,
So that's Bud Dupree coming off an ACL, so we'll see how that works for them on the defensive side of the ball. Tennessee is just run the ball, dominate offensively, great offensive line, tell Tannehill not to mess it up, and then their issue to me last year was their defensive backfield. I mean, they couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah. And pass rush, right? They couldn't get to the quarterback.
And they couldn't get in the quarterback. And that they work hand in hand. And so Bud Dupree, if he's healthy, will definitely make a difference on their pass rush side.
Yeah, I agree.
The issue is going to be they don't have anybody on the other side. He benefited from TJ Watt getting double teamed. And so he always had the single team. And so he had the one-on-one matchup in Pittsburgh all those years. And so if you look at Bud Dupree's career in Pittsburgh, first 3 years he did nothing. When TJ Watt joined the team, he started getting 15 to 17 sacks.
Right.
And so, I mean, he was considered a first-round bust after his third year. And lo and behold, you get somebody on the other side, and he gets an $82 million contract.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's just how it happens, man. I mean, these guys, they get these one-on-one matchups. Like you said, in Pittsburgh, I mean, TJ Watt, I mean, he's runner-up in Defensive Player of the Year. He's getting double-teamed, and then Bud Dupree, you got a one-on-one, and he wins his one-on-ones, and he gets the sacks, and he gets the pressures, and he gets the tackles for losses, and all these different things. I think the thing with Tennessee, I guess some of their other moves where they did lose Malcolm Butler. I mean, he's an older corner. Adam Humphries, receiver, he went to Washington. Corey Davis, can't hate. The past 2 years, he's had solid seasons. I'm curious to see what they do at wide receiver, whether it's bringing somebody in free agent wise or maybe drafting a receiver. So they did lose him to the Jets. They did bring in Kevin Johnson at corner from the Browns. And they did lose another huge piece at corner with Adoree Jackson, who went to the Giants, man. I mean...
Yeah, and Jonnu Smith, the tight end, who went to
Jonnu Smith.
New England.
Yeah, he's a very athletic, fast tight end. So, I mean, they did lose some pieces, man. I mean, they did bring in Josh Reynolds from the Rams. He's a pretty solid guy. He's pretty young. I think they think that he can mix into the fold and help with that production of Corey Davis.
They need to draft somebody.
Yeah. I was trying to be modest, but
they've got, that's their They need depth at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, Tannehill, like I said, he was an MVP candidate last season, man.
I mean, just stick to their formula. Run the ball. Hopefully play better defense. Tannehill don't turn it over, and they can win some games.
Yeah, and that leads me to the next thing, Z. So Vegas put their win total at 9.5. Man, I love that. I think they're the best team in that division. I definitely see them, getting easy wins against Jacksonville. I think they stomp on them. I think they beat the Colts. Now, since they got Carson Wentz, I have no faith in Carson Wentz. I'm sorry, Colts fans.
Or at least split with the Colts.
Yeah, or at least split. And then, you stomp on a no quarterback Houston Texans squad twice a year. So, that's 5 or 6 wins right there. And then you got to make up. You got King Henry. King Henry's going to win you at least 2 or 3 games. Just by himself.
Yeah, they're set up. They were weak in the kicking game. cost them a couple games.
Oh my God! It was Adam Vinatieri. Oh my God!
No, he's with the Colts for.
Oh yeah. Who was the kicker?
No, the Gostkowski.
Steven Gostkowski.
Yeah, the other New England guy.
I knew it was some type of Patriots because I was trying to understand why Vrabel kept this guy on the squad. He's lost them games and couldn't make kicks, couldn't make extra points. And
he missed the chip shot, handing a victory to the Steelers.
Exactly. Yeah, I bet you love that too.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah,
my favorite kicker.
Yeah, so but I love that. I love that win total. That's one of my favorites. The Tennessee with the 9.5, man. So I guess that wraps up our divisional stuff. Let's chat a little bit more about these win totals, man. So the Cardinals. So the Cardinals have 8. We're not going to run down all of it. We're just sort of kind of just rambling on. So the Cardinals.
First off, what's the biggest thing that stands out to you?
As far as what?
Win totals.
Win totals? I guess division, man. I would say division. The team, the stronger team in that division. Who's around them? So like a team like Green Bay, right? They're at 11. I think they go over 11. 11 on the mark is not even 11.5. You got the Bears, you got the Lions. I just don't see any of those teams. I see them sweeping those teams.
Now, the first one, to me, I love the Bills over the 10.5. I think Bills win 11 games because look at the division. They're playing the Jets twice. They'll probably split with New England, and if they play Miami at home in the snow at the end of the season.
In the snow, yeah.
Yeah, because last year was the last game of the season, and Miami had no shot.
Right.
And so a lot of these are going to be affected as to how the schedule is formulated as to when they play these teams. What part of the season they play these teams. So as a Steeler fan, I'm looking at the Steeler total.
Oh, I love the Steelers total. It's only 9.5, right?
Yeah, it's 9.5. And Tomlin has never had a losing season. Actually, it's 9, not even 9.5. So it's 9.
Oh my gosh, that's just easy money. But
he's never had a losing season in his career.
Right.
Now, again, the Steelers have
the Browns are coming up though. They think Browns. If you look at the Browns,
they have a tough schedule.
Yeah,
but it's going to be based on how it's formulated. Because if they play the Browns early in the season when the Steelers are fresh, Ben is fresh, Steelers will dominate them. Because basically, they've dominated them the last 15 years.
Yeah.
If they play them at the end of the season, Cleveland has a better chance because Steelers will go through some injuries, more veteran team, a lot of turnover. They have a new offensive line coming in. They got new offensive coaches.
Oh, yeah.
So I would still take it over, but I will watch how they set up the schedule first. If the Steelers have most of their hard games early in the season, definitely take it over.
Right.
Because they're going to be better early than they are late, which is going totally against the history of the team. That's always been better late than early. But as Ben ages, that's what they got to deal with. I like taking the unders on some of these weaker teams.
Who do you like?
Like we talked about, Jacksonville at 6, definitely take the under. Houston at 5, I like the under.
Yeah.
Jets at 6, rookie quarterback, no weapons, I like the under. Bears 7.5, the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton.
That's a weird one.
I'll take the under. You're playing Packers twice. You're playing Minnesota, who always plays them tough. Mm-hmm. And you have an unknown at quarterback.
Yeah. Question mark at quarterback. I like it, man. I guess some of the teams that I love, man. Like I said, I love the Steelers with the solid 9. And guys, this is based off adding that extra game too. So it's not like you can go 9-7 anymore. You're gonna go like 9-8. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So this is regular season win. So there is an extra game.
Yeah. So with the extra game, I think the Steelers with the 9 is a no-brainer. You go on the over. I love that. I also love the Rams. What is the Rams? The Rams was I think they were 10. 10.5. So the Rams is 10.5. It's tough though. I mean, in that division, it's not a cakewalk, man. It's a fight. It's a dog fight every week. I mean, your divisional comp in that division has really come up. I mean, when you got the 49ers who are going to be back and they're going to be healthy. They're a year, 2 years away from being in the Super Bowl. They were just hurt last year. They got Bosa back. They got that crazy defensive line and linebackers, and they got Kyle Shanahan calling the offensive plays, and all these different running backs. So I mean, you got them, and then you got this new Cardinals team. But I just think the Rams would. The change at quarterback, Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford really helps them out and just closes the show on some games. So I love the Rams definitely going over the 10.5 wins. That's like a no-brainer to me. I'll probably put big money on that. I love that. And then the Bucks, I don't love it as much. With Drew Brees retiring within that division, and a lot of like you said, Z. I mean, a lot of my bets tie in. In this specific instance. To who's in the division. I mean, who's in the division? They're going to be playing Jameis Winston, a guy who already played for him, who throws picks like they're nothing. And then you got Taysom Hill, who's a gadget quarterback who can't throw the ball for shit. And then you got the Panthers squad, where they got some weapons, but can Sam Darnold? Am I really fearing Sam Darnold? No. Am I really fearing Teddy Bridgewater if he stays? No.
Yeah, because if you look at a team like the Jets, New England's going to be going to be improved. 2 games there. Buffalo's exceptional. 2 games.
Yeah.
Miami, borderline playoff game. 2 games. So where are they going to get their 6 wins?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I love the Bucks with the 11 over 11.5, and then all the other team in the division is the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons, even though I think they'll be back, I still think Matt Ryan can still do it. With Julio and Calvin really back, I hate playing the Falcons just because of their offensive firepower and those elite receivers, and they just come out and scorch you.
I can see that. So looking at it, so the Jets play the AFC South. Mm-hmm. So they are stuck with Indianapolis at Indianapolis. I don't see that as a win. They go at Carolina. That's Sam Darnold against the Jets. He's going to be fired up.
Right, yeah.
Then they got Jacksonville. They should win that. But then they got New Orleans and then Tampa. I don't see that. So where are they going to get their 6 wins?
Exactly. I mean, what do you think about what is the team? Oh, I love Tennessee. Tennessee's another one. I mean, Tennessee with the 9.5. I mean, with Phillip Rivers retired. If it was last year, I would have scratched my head about it. You have nobody else in that division. You got the Colts with Carson Wentz, and then you got, a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback, and Jacksonville, and then you got, the Texans who are just there. You're just there to try to team out on the field because they have to. So
their games out of division. They're playing the Browns, tough game. They're playing the Steelers, Ravens.
So they're playing the AFC North.
Yeah.
So that's where they'll. But I think they'll go 2-2. I think they can match up with any of those guys. I mean, they could definitely match up well with all of those teams because, just the hard-nosed running of Derrick Henry and then the way they call plays. I mean, I can see them splitting 2-2, either beating Cleveland or maybe beating the Steelers or maybe even beating the Ravens, in that division. I just love the 9.5 wins with Tennessee. I'm willing to put a decent chunk on that. I guess some of the other ones, man, I'll just rattle off a few of them, Z. Let's see here. So the Cardinals have, the win total's 8. Falcons are 7. The Ravens are 11. I don't know if the Ravens get to 11, man. I mean, we're here in a DMV-based podcast. I'm sorry, man. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, Lamar Jackson really has to take that next step and stop running these gadget plays, man, for me. The Bills with the 10.5. We already discussed that. Panthers at 7.5 wins. Bears at 7.5. Bengals at 6.5. Cleveland at 10. A solid 10.
So if we look at the Ravens, so they play Kansas City. Well, they're playing the AFC West, so Kansas City Chargers, Denver, and Vegas, and then outside of division games, they play the Rams, at Miami, at Denver. Tough.
Yeah, tough. I mean, the Ravens, man, like I said, I just don't know, man. I mean, he really has to take that next step for me. Staying on track, I mean, you got the Browns at 10, Cowboys at 9.5, Broncos at 7.5, Lions at 5, Packers at 11, Texans at 5. We already said that. Colts at 10, Jags at 6, Chiefs at 12. How you feeling about the Chiefs with the 12, man? You think they get the 12 wins?
Chiefs, they made some improvements on the offensive line.
Yeah.
They are still looking for a receiver. They've made a run at every big free agent receiver.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think the 12 wins, I mean, I guess the division, right? I mean, they got Oakland? Well, not Oakland. They got Vegas.
Yeah,
they got
Chargers are going to be improved.
Yeah, Chargers, yeah. Sleeper team, man. I mean, watch out for San Diego. Raiders have 8 wins. Chargers have 9. Rams at 10.5. We already said that. Dolphins with 9. Vikings at 8.5. That's weird. What do you think about the Vikings with the 8.5?
It's based on the division. I mean, Green Bay twice, and Detroit is weak, and then Chicago. They always split with Chicago.
Yeah.
But Trubisky's God. Trubisky was known for always giving them a couple picks. So now they got Andy Dalton to deal with.
Exactly.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and then the rattle off the rest of this list. The Patriots with the 9. That's an interesting one. That's a really interesting one. Patriots with the 9. I think they get over.
Yeah, Cam. It's just all based on how Cam does.
Yeah, based on what Cam does.
They've given him everything. They've surrounded him with every weapon possible. Last year, he had no weapons.
Yeah.
This coming season, he has some weapons. So.
Yeah, he should shine. So I like the Patriots over the 10. I mean, that's not one of my favorites, but it's a borderline one for me. Saints with 9.5. I hate the Saints. They suck. I'll say under. The Giants with the 7.
Yeah, to be determined, I'll say.
Yeah. That's just a little divisional hate. I hate the fucking Saints. They fucking suck. But yeah, the Giants with the 7. Jets with the 6. Philadelphia Eagles with 7. Steelers, I mean, like I said, I love the Steelers with the 9. I mean, Z, tell your boys to come on, man. Get over those 9 wins.
For me, it's going to be based on how they set up the schedule. If they have their tougher games early, I love it. If they have their tougher games stacked at the end of the season, it might be a push.
Yeah, and a push is not bad. I mean, especially when you get down to the end of it and they start losing, and you're like, "Fuck, man! I just want my money back." You know what I mean? A push isn't bad. Sometimes a push is a win, especially when they start out losing and then they win a few games. It's like, okay, just get the 9 wins. But I love the Steelers. I don't see them losing under 9 games, man. I don't think the Browns. The Browns. I mean, they are tough. They did beat them in the playoffs. I think the Steelers got something for them. They got something to prove for them this year.
Have you thought of moving forward? Have you thought of any bets that caught your eye this weekend?
This weekend, man. I mean, let me look here. Let me see. I've won some money these past couple of nights, man. I do like a game here on, looks like it's Tuesday the 20th. Tuesday night, Brooklyn Nets and Pelicans. The Nets will be playing the Pelicans at home. I do love that game. I think that Kevin Durant should be playing, Kyrie should be playing, all these other guys should be playing. And if they do, I love it. If they don't, I'll probably pass on it. So I love that bet. There was another game here on Monday that I love too. Let me scroll down to Monday. So Monday night, which is April the 19th, I got to keep my eye on this, man. I got to keep my eye on it. I want to see who plays and who doesn't. I love Boston money line at home over the Bulls. I mean, Boston has been playing some decent basketball here lately. I mean, the other night, Jaylen Brown went off for like 40-plus points. Pretty much almost single-handedly won them the game. I love that bet. They're at home, and they're kind of trying to build up some steam headed towards the playoffs. I also, staying on that same night, April 19th, I also love the 76ers at home in Philly, ESPN game versus the Warriors. If Steph plays, even if Steph does play, I'm pretty confident Ben Simmons in the later portions of the game guarding Steph and at least holding him to some manageable numbers, right? Now, I mean, I don't think he's dropping 40 on big Ben Simmons. I mean, Ben Simmons is an excellent perimeter post defender or whatever you want to say. And Philly just plays defense great anyway. And then they have no answer for my guy Embiid. I actually won 70 money on the Sixers the other night, man. It was a really close game. They let the guys come back. That you remember that Clippers game? I think it was actually I mean, it came down to the wire. I mean, I looked at it. PG.
Yeah, their team. If you're going to bet the spread on the Sixers, take the first half because they are going to be lazy and blow the lead. They never cover spreads.
Yeah, they don't cover spread. That's what I said. Money line, man. I mean, money line is the thing for me. I like the spreads, not so much.
From my perspective, I'm just going to keep it simple and keep it rolling. What's been cashing is going to keep cashing. The Oklahoma City Thunder are winless in the month of April.
Wow.
They play the Raptors on Sunday. Let's roll with the Raptors. They play the Wizards on Monday. Back to back. Let's roll with the Wizards. And then they got the Pacers and then the Wizards again. The Thunder fade. They are going to lose every game for the month of April. That is...
You said they're going to lose every game?
Yeah, so basically... So they haven't won a game yet in the month. So I see it continuing. Keep it simple and just roll with the Oklahoma City Thunder fade. And that's my bets moving forward for this week. I
love that. I'm gonna throw one more game in. One more game that I love. Like I said, you always got to watch who's in and who's out of the lineup. Is a game here on April 21st. Night game, late game, 10 p.m. Wednesday night. Clippers at home versus the Grizzlies. I was chatting back and forth with Jay. Last time we were talking about the tricky Grizzlies or some shit. I mean, the Grizzlies fucking suck. I mean, if they play good teams like that, they're gonna get boat raced. I mean, I love the Clippers to win money line at home on the West Coast with a Grizzlies squad who has pieces, has talent, but just struggling. They can't stay consistent. And then hopefully if they call
if you think about it, Luka got him at the buzzer.
Yeah, they did get him at the buzzer. I mean, a win is a win, right?
like you said, money line from your perspective.
Yeah, money line. As long as they win, man. I mean, I rock with you. If you don't, then I don't know what to tell you. But man, great show, man. So
all right, man.
Yeah, that concludes our sports podcast today. So as always, continue to support the show, subscribing on the YouTube channel, hit the like button. And continue to subscribe to our sports podcast on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all of those good things like that. And we will see you guys next show. Take it easy.